Hey Trailblazers, welcome back to another episode. I'm Nan, this ESL Trailblazer. Let's make something happen. Let's build that momentum. This week's episode is about essay writing. How do we make an impact with our writing? How do we get the reader's attention? How do we make sure that we get the grade that we need on that IELTS or Cambridge exam so that we get into that university that we want to go to, or we show the reader or people reading our work that we've made an effort and we really care about the subject that we're writing about, okay? So these are all great questions and I want to talk about them in today's episode. So please stay tuned for this message and then I'll be right back with some tips. All right, welcome back and let's get right into it. So essay writing, as I said already, very important. We need it, especially for high school or college students. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here are my tips. Don't repeat words. Very often, my students are repeating words again and again. If the topic is on money or getting a job or the state of the environment, they repeat the words related to that topic again and again. This is a bad habit, and I'll tell you why. Because the examiners who are correcting your essay are looking for your extensive vocabulary. And if you're repeating words, you're showing that you don't have an extensive vocabulary because you're not thinking of synonyms or other words related to the topic that you can use. Instead, you're just using that same word over and over again. And when I say repeat words, I'm talking about more than twice. If you use the same word more than twice in a paragraph, boom, you're getting marked down. Okay, so that's the first tip. Please remember that. Think of synonyms whenever you're writing an essay. Tip number 2, don't use something, the word something or the word thing. If you're using those words, you are showing that you don't know the appropriate word that you should use in this topic that you're writing about, okay? It shows lack of fluency, all right? In an academic context, in education, in school, high school or college, this little detail matters. If you are writing a dissertation paper in English, your supervisor of your thesis is not going to allow you to get away with using a word like thing. What is the thing? What thing are you talking about? What's this something? Refer to it specifically. You need the right word. Do not fall in that trap. You're gonna get marked down, or it's gonna be noted as something that you missed, that you couldn't have the right word for, okay? Next tip, make it personal. I can't tell you how many times my students write an essay and they sound very neutral, or like they're taking a step back from everything that they're writing, that it's not really their opinion. These are just the facts or what people are saying. Of course, you should use the passive if you want to refer to what may be something that most people perceive or a misconception. That's fine. But again, it's an opinion essay in most cases, and you should show what your opinion is about this, okay? So in my view, it's my belief that, in my personal opinion, okay, it is my firm belief that, that's some language that you can use to show what you really think about the topic. And people want to hear that, they want to read that in the essay. They want to see that you have a view. What is it? Tell us what your view is. Very important. Students forget about it, okay? Next tip, stay relevant to the topic. It can happen quite often. Students go on a small little tangent off the topic and put 1 or 2 sentences in a paragraph, or maybe more than one paragraph, where it has nothing to do with what the question of the essay is about. Obviously, when we're talking and we're having a conversation, no problem here. But with an essay, you are limited with the amount of time you have to write it, and you are limited with the number of words that are acceptable for the essay. So you need to stick to the topic, and this can be your downfall. I'm sorry to say. If you go on a tangent, you're losing time and you're wasting, and examiners are looking for that. They're looking for when you mention something that's not relevant to the topic. So stick to the topic, stick to what the essay question is about. Very important. A few more tips. I'm going on the flow here. I'm making moves, and I think they are very important, and you will find them valuable. So impact. Think about the impact that you are making when you're writing your essay. Impact, what I mean by that. Do you know what I mean? I'll tell you what I mean. What I mean by that is short sentences, long sentences, okay? So we tend to think, my students tend to think, that longer sentences show sophistication and show fluency. And to a certain degree, they're right. But we need to be careful, because even when we're writing emails in a professional context, the longer the sentences, the harder and more complicated it is, and the more difficult it is for the reader to understand what you want to say. Whereas if you make short sentences, the impact is stronger, because you're able to digest, absorb that information in the short sentence, and you can do that in a purposeful way in order to, again, give the impact that you want with a point that you're trying to make, whether it's in an email or in essays, which is what we're talking about today. So think about impact, short, long sentences. You got to find that right balance in between, okay? The next thing, and this is something that I know is covered, but it's not emphasized, the beginning and the endings, whether it's a presentation, whether it's an email, whether it's the paragraph or the whole essay. So I'm sure that you've learned from the beginning how important beginnings and endings are, and they carry the most emphasis, right? So take time to think about how to start your essay. That's obvious, all right? Rhetorical question, etc. You do this in your classes, so I'm not going to go into depth here. But think about how you start your paragraphs as well. Think about how you end your paragraphs. And of course, the conclusion to your essay. These carry the most emphasis and are the most memorable. The same goes for people out there writing emails, okay? I know it's something extra to worry about, but again, it has an impact. The emphasis is there at the end when someone finishes the email. Should they take action right away, or should they say, maybe for later? Okay? And finally, my last tip for this episode with essay writing is intensifiers. You gotta use intensifiers to make that language or what you're trying to say more colorful. Okay? So the most basic one is very, but you don't want to overuse it. Like I said, you don't want to repeat words, even word like very and intensifier. So use other ones like extremely, fully, totally. I totally understand. I completely agree with this opinion, or the whole process is very complicated. The entire process, whole, entire, okay? Or significantly, or by far, far is an intensifier, okay? By far the most important, is far and wide the most popular, okay? Or it's extremely useful, extremely significant. These intensifiers can help make your language more colorful in your writing. Ooh, I'm talking too fast. I'm starting to fumble over my words. So that is all the tips I have for the essay writing. I hope you find it valuable. Please share it if you think others will find it valuable. There's a Freshen Up Fridays newsletter where I cover these tips and many other things, lesson ideas, and a teaching blog for teachers, as well as student insights that I learned from my students. So you can sign up for that. The link is below. All right. That's all I got for you this week. I hope you find it valuable. I'm Nandis, ESL Trailblazer. Let's make something happen. Go get them with those essays. Have a great week. Be proud teachers. And if you're learning English, now you got the weapons, you got the tools to get those essays written in the best possible way that you can. So thank you very much. Remember to subscribe. Thank you. And I'd love to hear from you. Give me some comments. Give me your feedback. Take care. Build that momentum. See ya.